So far, we've been seeing the code of the client and server. We were doing dry run. We were not really running the application. Here, what we are going to do is we are going to run the application and debug it and understand the flow of it. So one thing we would like to mention here is that the very first video we have seen, the Google access from the web browser. These two applications, the client and server, is a placeholder for that. It's a cut down version, simplified version of Google and the client, which is the web browser. Let's not forget that. That is what we are trying to do throughout this training, one way or the other. Being said that, let's get into it. So we are going to debug this code client. So let's run the client first and see what's the output we are getting. Simply, we are going to run the client without any server. So start debugging. You can use Python as well if you want. So we got an exception right here in this particular line. So before that, what I can do is I can put a breakpoint here and restart the debugging so that you will get to know what are the lines which is successful and what are the lines which is failing. So this is the line number 4, which is the start of the program. These two lines are comment. So I'm going to press F10 so that I can execute this particular line. So this line has not executed yet if you are new to debugging. So this yellow arrow is pointing to the line which is about to debug. So that is very important. So we are going to switch to line number 7 after executing line number 4. So that is fine. Import socket library. We are not expecting any problem as well. Now line number 7. So basically it's creating an object. It's not doing any network communication or anything external to this particular application. So this is also expected to be successful. Let's do that. We are going to execute line number 7. Line number 7 successfully executed. As you can see in the variables, we have a valid socket object. So if you look at the type of the object, it is of type socket, family 2, type 1, FD608. So we will see all these things later, what this object means, all this different permutations and combination of parameter of socket. But what is interesting for us is the line number 8. Line number 8, if you remember in our diagram, it is supposed to connect to the server. So server is supposed to listen at this particular port in this particular IP address, which is the laptop itself. It's the loopback IP address. But right now we have not started the server. So the server is not running as of now. So we are expecting problems here because the server is not running. No one is listening to connect. There is no one on the other side to connect. So this is going to be a failure. Let's see what is the failure we are getting. So if you look at, there was a slight delay getting that failure. Not sure you are going to get that delay, but it is common in network related errors. Let's read the error. No connection could be made because the target machine actively refused it. So we will get into the details of this particular message. We need to get into the core details of every word in this error message. It means a lot. So we'll get to the bottom of it pretty soon, hopefully. So once again, the error we are getting is no connection could be made. That could be making a little sense because we are trying to connect. So the error is no connection could be made. What is the reason it's saying? Because the target machine actively refused it. So that actively refused, that is a part which is very interesting to us. We'll dig a little bit deeper into these two words, actively refusing something, because no one is there. Who is there to actively refuse it? Being said that, let's continue the execution of the server and then the client. So I was just showing you how the client behaves when the server is not there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the server. So this is our server. If you remember, we have the bind, then the listen and the accept. And we are going to wait on line number 7. Line number 7 is going to be a blocking call. I'm going to put breakpoint on line number 3. Going to start debugging again. So we got this right here, import socket. Line number 3 is going to get executed. 4, no surprise, it's exactly same as a client. 5, pretty similar to client. Then listen, and finally the accept. So as you can see, none of these statements or lines are blocking, which means we could execute and we came to the yellow arrow came to the next line. So none of those lines are blocking calls. But line number 7 is going to be a blocking call. So what that means, the yellow arrow disappeared. Let's see here, the yellow arrow disappeared and the command prompt here has not returned. If you look here. Now, this means that this program is running right now, but it is not broken into the debugger. While it is running under the debugger, it is not broken into the debugger. Which means that the program is doing something. What it is doing, it is waiting. It is waiting for packets from the client. So line number 7 is blocked. Now, how to unblock it? Remember, in the case of input, we unblocked it using enter, pressing the enter key. Like that, to unblock this thing, we need to connect from a client. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to move this window to the right, and I'm going to move the client to the left. So now you can see both the client and the server side by side. So we need the debug window, so I'm not removing it, but you can see the partial code here. So this is the client, which is on the left side, and right side, which is the server. The client is not running. If you look at this small arrow mark right here, it is the prompt, it is the command prompt or the partial prompt, which means that the program is not running. We don't have that here, which means the program is running. This particular program is running. That is the signature of running and not running. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F5 after putting this breakpoint. So we have the breakpoint here in line number 4, and I'm going to press F5 because most of the menu items are not available. So again, F10, same thing we have done before. Now previously we got error in this particular line. Now we need to see what we are going to get. So I'm going to press F10, and I want you to pay a little attention on the server as well to see if something happens on the server. As you can see, the moment I press this particular button, this arrow has come here. If you want, you can rewind the video, or you can do it yourself. It's not a hard thing to do. As soon as I executed this thing has returned, or this particular function has returned, which means there is some communication happened between the client and the server. We don't know what is that communication yet, but some communication has happened. That's why the server came to know, or the server got some information from the client and it returned. In fact, it got the information about the client. So there is a port number came up right here, 64907. We'll discuss all this thing in detail, but just remember this number, as well as you need to remember this number, but in this case it is all happening locally, so this number is going to be same as this number. Everywhere we are using 127.0.0.1, which is the local host. But what matters here is that without we sending any data, we have not sent our hello world. Something has gone into the server. Basically, it is a TCP three-way handshake. We will see that shortly, but for the time being, some data has been passed. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send some data from the client. The client has returned. Now I'm going to send some data to the client. I can print this address. This is the address of the client we are printing, address and the port. This is a client port actually. This is the client address. In this case, it is same as a server, but we will see all kind of permutations and combinations throughout this training. Now, this particular line. So let's execute line number 9 on client. We can send the data. So we have sent the data. Again, this is not a blocking call. As you can see, we pushed the data to the network. Now, whether the server got the data, let's see that. server got the data right here. Now the client is going to wait on receive. So let's see that. What we are going to do is we are going to wait on line number 10, receive. Receive is a blocking call again. As you can see, now the client is doing exactly same thing as server was doing before. There is no arrow mark here. The yellow arrow mark has disappeared from this side. And also there is no command prompt right here, which means the client is running right now. The client is waiting on receive. Now what we need to do? We need to send data from the server. That is exactly what we are doing here. As soon as we pressed the send data from the server, the client has returned and the client is going to print the same information. So let me make some modifications to make sure that it is clear. Yeah, let's keep this hello world exactly as it is. We are now going to change it. Now what we can do is we can add an additional string here. It's a binary string from server. So we are adding this additional here so that we will get to know that it is from server. In fact, we can do any string for that matter to avoid any kind of confusion, because we are printing hello world everywhere. So we don't know what is coming from server and client. So not much modification I have done. Feel free to modify these things yourself. Change the string, change the print statement, all that kind of things. Feel free to do it. Right now, the client is sending hello world and server is sending back hello world from server. So that is from the server. Just to get this print a little more intuitive, if you print hello world everywhere, there's a chance that we get confused. So let me rerun the server. I'm going to press F5. So I'm going to wait on accept. I'm going to save the client and again press F5 on the client. Again, I'm going to connect. So I'll get the breakpoint back everywhere, or the debugger break, the yellow arrow I'm talking about, not exactly breakpoint. As you can see, sending the data, then receiving the data from the client, and then we are going to wait right here. And server is going to send data now again, and this time the data is slightly different. So hello world from server. So this is from server. So that is the overall runtime aspect of the socket client and server. Looks very straightforward. In fact, it is straightforward. The beauty is that this number, which is called IP address, can be anything in the world, anywhere in the world. It can be Google, it can be Facebook, Twitter, anything. So this IP address can be the IP address of any system in the world. And this client will work exactly as it is. We'll get into it, but for the time being, that is the significance of this program. If you're wondering why I'm spending so much time on this small program, that is the significance of it. And that is why we are going to spend whole training on this particular program. Like I mentioned, I don't think we are going to discuss too many programs here. This is a program we are going to dig in multiple different fashion in this training. Now let's see a little more aspects of this program. So to conclude, we have seen the client and server running. We have seen the differences between the client and server as well. Next, what we can do is we can look at these programs from some other tools from outside the debugger or outside the programming world. There are a few tools we're going to look at to understand more about these programs we have written.